Okay. What's good, everybody? I'm uh I'm your usual co-host, Sergeant Buck. Pav is here. He is off, I think, getting a drink. So, yeah, let's just hang out and chat for a bit. Uh, this is kind of a break from the usual schedule, but we're gonna try and keep things on the weekly. Hmm.
And I'm back.
There we go. Now we're all
Are
here.
we are we, are we live?
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's fine. We're making this up as we go. Like we usually do.
Yes, we are.
That way it's the most exciting. Alright, so some of you may have noticed that Pig isn't here. He had to bail a little early on account of work, so it's just gonna be the two of us. I'm sure we'll do fine.
Yeah, he's often adulting and
Being all responsible like an actual human. So where should we kick things off tonight?
Well, okay. So actually last Count Dankula put out a YouTube or a video. Sorry, I've been explaining this to people
Yeah.
who are not on YouTube.
This one here.
And it was him. The video was called Salem Comedy Trials. I might have had a little bit too much coke.
That's perfectly fine. Better you than me, right?
To me, it's strange that I'm the one who's a little tipsy and you are completely sober.
Yeah, well.
Because it's the other way around.
When you drink an entire bottle of Costco wine in one night, and it's like, okay, hold on a minute here.
But so basically, what he's talking about in the video, weird that it puts you there at that point, is mainly the reactions that people have had to the jokes that certain people on the left have made, and how that some of the people within kind of this community who supported Dankula through his trial, through all that stuff, have gone after these people for basically the same thing that Dankula did. And it's kind of annoying to me because it's just like, okay, so here's the thing. A joke is a joke, right?
Yeah.
And a joke should always be taken as a joke. Therefore, it's strange to think that someone who would view Dankula's trial of him making a joke and it being taken in a serious context, and then flip around and view like James Gunn's joke and taking that in a
Yeah, it's well, it's like you were saying, it's inconsistent. It's like, okay, what makes? I mean, I don't agree with what Gunn was joking about, but okay, why do we have to get mad at him? And meanwhile, everyone has rallied around Dankula since the start of the trial, and that hasn't changed. It's weird. It's weird. As someone who prefers to defend almost all forms of speech, I'll make some very, very few exceptions. Um, Yeah, it's like, wait, why you mad about this? Why you mad about this other guy here? Mm. I think Rowan Atkinson put it best. You should only apologize for a bad joke.
Right, right. If the joke is just, like really bad, it doesn't land.
Yeah,
That's when you apologize. Then you're like, oh, okay, so this joke didn't work. I'm sorry. But anything other than that, a joke is a joke. You the statement was not made to be taken seriously. The statement was not made in the context of anything, just anything at all close to how it keeps getting interpreted over and over and over again. And so, like Dankula, it's one of those things where you look at it and it it's just it's just a joke. Like why are we turning around and trying to get people fired for joke? I thought that's the thing that we were against.
yeah. I hate it. It drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely fucking nuts.
Me too, because it's just like okay, so this guy he makes a joke about something stupid. You didn't laugh. So what?
Yeah.
You didn't laugh. That that doesn't mean anything. Just because you didn't laugh doesn't mean that it wasn't supposed to make you laugh. Like the point of it is not to be anything but trying to make you laugh. And if that didn't work, sure, that didn't work. like not everything works, but trying to put it out of the context that it is
Yeah.
just retarded.
And it is kind of strange to see how this whole thing with James Gunn has blown up to where it's like, oh, he was at a party with like it was, what is it? Some sort of a themed party or something like that. And it's like, oh, he's a pedophile. Like, look, he was taking these weird photos. It's like, okay, hold the fuck up there, Alex Jones.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's like, you don't know that, you can't prove it. Yes, it looks sketchy, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. The two are not necessarily connected. Mm. So, was there like a specific timestamp I need to find for?
Actually, no, I was just linking you the video because I
Oh,
was trying to. I mean, if you
context. Okay.
want to, yeah, just context, because like he brings up a few people. He brings up the guy. Hold on, Dan Harmon, who makes a joke video where they he went back in time to rape serial killers when they're babies so they don't become serial killers. How is that anything but a joke? Obviously, that's never gonna work,
I
right?
think that'd
It's
make them serial killers.
I'm, of course, it doesn't make any sense, but that's the reason why it's a joke. It like you even just laughed about it, right?
Yeah.
It's a fucked up joke. Don't get me wrong, but it's a joke. Dark humor can be fun in a lot of ways. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, the joke didn't land for some people.
It didn't land for a
That's what
lot
a
of.
lot of
Ooh. Sorry.
that's what a lot of comedians deal with.
Yeah, it's just jokes that fall flat. I mean, hell, look at Rick and Morty. That doesn't always make me laugh. The sketch it was based on sure as hell didn't. I don't know if you saw that. I think Tim Pool covered that. Or it's like Rick and Morty is originally a sketch satirizing Back to the Future, and the way that Doc has Marty solve everything is by licking his balls, and it's just like, what?
It, right, but in what way is that not supposed to be taken as a joke? Like another person he brings up in is Trevor Noah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of people who don't like Trevor Noah who kind of sit where me and you.
Yeah.
And a long time ago, during a stand-up comedy show, he makes a joke about Aboriginal,
Mm-hmm.
and people start giving him shit for it. It's a joke. Like, yeah, sure. I don't like Trevor, but I would never turn around and just be like, "Oh yeah, you know, that joke that he made makes him a terrible person.
Yeah,
He's obviously this."
you're not gonna say you're a lousy comedian now and you were worse then.
Yeah, you were worse because of this joke that you made that I didn't, I didn't care for. It's like,
Yeah. There are no rules to comedy. There should be no rules to comedy.
yeah, and that's a point that he brings up later on. He's like, if we keep treating comedians the way that they're treating them right now, comedians are eventually going to stop pushing boundaries, stop, trying to be, going out there and creating new humor because there'll be so like
You'll end up
like
with shit like Nanette.
and it's sad. It really is. And so that's kind of what I was just like fuck it, guys. We supported Dankula because Dankula made a joke and he got in trouble for it in a serious way, and that's not how he should have gotten in trouble for it. That's why we supported Dankula.
Yeah. And
To turn around and just not be consistent in any way, and just be like, oh, okay, like just because we don't like this person, the joke that he made has a different context. That's retarded.
it's not a joke. It's waterfalls. Different context, different intent. Oh man.
But yeah, so got anything else you want to address with this?
No, I can't think of anything else. Anything else to chime in there?
Yeah, I keep repeating myself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was with that.
Let's see. I think we can close that tab without things freaking out. Yes. Yes, I can. And I can close that tab too. Perfect. So, all right. Shall we move on to the next story? That was about what? Not quite 15 minutes. So, good bit of time. So, which one do you want to cover next?
Oh, 100% we're going to cover. Well, why don't we just stick with tech news and then end with funny that you
Okay.
found.
Yeah.
Or did I find that?
I've
had too many running.
You found it.
All right, so Google track the location of users who have opted out of it.
Yeah,
That's the next article we are going to be talking about.
We're not spying on you, but really we're spying on you all the time.
We're really spying on you.
Do that. So this is from NBC. I know no one likes NBC, but
here we are.
Yeah, here, and they got this from the Associated Press. So this
do you know why I don't like NBC? It has nothing to do with their news. Everything to do with the fact that they cannot be secure in a show. They cancel almost every show in existence.
Yeah, they do. Unless it's
It's like, well, yeah, it's just like
they cancel more shows than Rupert Murdoch. It's like I can't even think of a show on NBC that's lasted more than a season. Was Last Man Standing, was that on NBC first or was that ABC? I think it was
That's
ABC.
ABC.
Yeah. And now Fox is picking up Last Man Standing, so that's going to be good. So, anyway, tech. Let's see. I'll kick this one off here. Google found to track the location of users who had opted out. Even with location history paused, some Google apps automatically store timestamp location data without asking. Zuck, what have you done?
Zuckerberg.
Google wants to know where you go so badly that it records your movements even when you explicitly tell it not to. This is just like the microphone and the camera thing. An Associated Press investigation found that many Google services on Android devices and iPhones store your location data, even if you've used privacy settings that say they will prevent it from doing so. Computer science researchers at Princeton confirmed these findings at the AP's request. This is
Fuck to me. Complaint. Could you turn yourself up and turn me down? By like a lot.
okay. Let's turn that down. Turn myself up. How about that? Yep.
I will let you know.
Okay. You have the stream going in the background or something?
Me? No. No, I somebody was like, you're really quiet. Like, the other person is really quiet. What? And you're really loud. Fix this. Do some audio editing.
Some fancy audio engineering. Let's see, that should work. Just a difference of decibels. Where was I? Here we go. Okay. For the most part, Google is upfront about asking permission to use your location information. An app like Google Maps will remind you to allow access to location if you use it for navigating, which makes sense. If you agree to let it record your location over time, Google Maps will display that history for you in a timeline that maps out your daily movements. Storing your minute-to-minute travels carries privacy risks and has been used by police to determine the location of suspects, such as a warrant that police in Raleigh, North Carolina served on Google last year to find devices near a murder scene. So the company will let you pause a setting called location history. See, I see shit like this, and all I can think of is there have been times where like I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, maybe I'll go out and get sushi for lunch. Like I don't say it, I just think it. I'm not fucking kidding. And then I'll get an ad for like sushi on YouTube. It's like, what the fuck?
I'm gonna get.
Now I have to get sushi. All right. Google says that will prevent the company from remembering where you've been. Google's support page on the subject states you can turn off location history at any time. With location history off, the places you go are no longer stored. This isn't true. Even with location history paused, some Google apps automatically store timestamped location data without asking. I wonder why. I mean, I know maybe it's a multiple. Yeah, maybe it's a multiple apps thing. I don't know. For example, Google stores a snapshot of where you are when you merely open its Maps app. Automatic daily weather updates on Android phones pinpoint roughly where you are. And some searches that have nothing to do with location, like chocolate chip cookies or kids' science kits, pinpoint your precise latitude and longitude, accurate to the square foot, and save it to your Google account. That's fucking creepy. That's just weird.
We live in the modern age, Buck.
I mean, I can understand like how the weather updates might happen because you do have to connect to a cell tower. So that might be part of it, but I don't know. The linking search results to location. That's where I'm like, okay, this is getting into some Minority Report bullshit.
What do you gotta be afraid of, Buck? What you doing? What do you
Listen,
what's causing this concern?
listen. You don't need to know why I'm searching for abandoned construction sites. All right. The privacy issue affects some 2 billion users of devices that run Google's Android operating software and hundreds of millions of worldwide iPhone users who rely on Google for maps or search. Storing location data in violation of a user's preferences is wrong, said Jonathan Mayer, a Princeton computer scientist and former chief technologist for the Federal Communications Commission's Enforcement Bureau. That's a fucking long sentence. You can just say FCC. Most people know what that is. Research from Mayer's lab confirmed the AP's findings on multiple Android devices. The AP conducted its own tests on several iPhones that found the same behavior.
Oh well, that's just
So, okay. If you're going to allow users to turn off something called location history, then all places where you maintain location history should be turned off, Mayer said. That seems like a pretty straightforward position to have. Yes, it does. I mean, if
slightly.
Yeah.
Slightly.
I don't see how this doesn't make sense. Google says it is being perfectly clear. I don't think it is. There are a number of different ways that Google may use location to improve people's experience, including location history, web and app activity, and through device-level location services, a Google spokesperson said in a statement to the AP. We provide clear descriptions of these tools and robust controls so people can turn them on or off and delete their histories at any time. If that were true, you wouldn't have to explain these things. If that were true, this would not be making headlines. Okay?
Maybe.
Jesus
maybe.
Christ, Google. To stop Google from saving these location markers, the company says users can turn off another setting, one that does not specifically reference location information, called web and app activity, and enabled by default. That setting stores a variety of information from Google Apps and websites to your Google account.
See, this is sounding a lot like the bell notification button.
Yeah.
It's like I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this. I'm like, there's a lot of similarities between these two things.
Yeah. It's weird. It's so fucking weird. It's gonna be like 1984 or some shit. It's here. When paused, it will prevent activity on any device from being saved to your account, but leaving web and app activity on and turning location history off only prevents Google from adding your moments to the timeline, its visualization of your daily travels. It does not stop Google's collection of other location markers. It's one button. I shouldn't have to hit two buttons to do one thing.
I shouldn't have to go through my phone and just look up every single action of every single different option.
Why are there
set on by Donovan?
Why are there 6 pedals if there's only 4 directions?
4 directions. We always get there when it's just you and me. Every time
we end up on Red versus Blue. You can delete these location markers by hand, but it's a painstaking process since you have to select them individually unless you want to delete all of your stored activity. You can see the stored location markers on a page in your Google account at myactivity.google.com, although they're typically scattered under several different headers, many of which are unrelated to location. They're not making this easy, are they?
No.
Jesus.
No, they want that sweet ad revenue of being able to track and understand.
You passed 6 restaurants today. How many burgers would you possibly wanted to have had. To demonstrate how powerful these other markers can be, the AP created a visual map of the movements of Princeton postdoctoral researcher Gunez Akar, I don't know, who carried an Android phone with location history off and shared a record of his Google account. The map includes Akar's train commute on 2 trips to New York and visits to the High Line Park, Chelsea Market, Hell's Kitchen, Central Park, and Harlem. To protect his privacy, the AP didn't plot the most telling and frequent marker, his home address. Good. You didn't dox someone. You didn't pull a CNN and dox someone or threaten to.
They will never live that down.
At least the Associated Press has some standards. Oh, man.
Some.
Huge tech companies are under increasing scrutiny over their data practices following a series of privacy scandals at Facebook and new data privacy rules recently adopted by the European Union. Last year, the business news site Quartz found that Google was tracking Android users by collecting the addresses of nearby cell phone towers, even if all location services were off. That doesn't freak me out so much. I mean, it kind of does, but it doesn't tell you. It's not an exact address. It's not the same as an exact address or knowing which restaurants you've passed in the last 40 minutes, something like that. So, Google, where was it? Google changed the practice and insisted it never recorded the data anyway. Except it God damn it, Google.
It just sounds like a lot of like
critics.
Like, no, he didn't. But we're not doing anything. No, he's not clicking the button. What are you talking about?
This isn't the cell tower you're looking for.
Not the cell tower you're looking for.
Critics say you fucking called it. Critics say Google's insistence on tracking its users' locations stems from its drive to boost advertising revenue. Good fucking job.
I didn't even read this article. But it's kind of that's what it seems like they're doing. Okay, so how many advertisements can we send this one person that are more tailored to what they actually do, and so we can end up having a better chance of them actually clicking on it, so we make money. That's just what it is. That's a business practice. I understand it. I think it's a little scummy because they're not letting you know that you're not opted out of it. But like, I understand it. To be honest, just from this article alone, and just like from what I'm hearing, I'm not that surprised. Like, this is like, I have an Android, right?
Yeah, so do I.
I just like everything on my phone is probably being tracked. Now I can understand certain people, like I know someone very close in my life who he changes his name to a different thing on Facebook all the time. He never uses his real name or anything online at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand someone who's just like, no, fuck this. I don't want anything to do with this at all.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a concern for them. For me, I don't care that much. I don't do anything, and like, if somebody's gonna dox me, hey, it might add a little excitement to my life.
Careful what you fucking wish for.
Right?
I mean, really.
But that's my take on it. It's just like, okay, guys, like, if you have to do this much explaining, you're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and understand what you're doing wrong.
The general fucking public is on to you now. They build advertising information out of data, said Peter Lenz, the senior geospatial analyst at Distillery, a rival advertising technology company.
Distillery. Their name is Distillery. Really?
That's a horrible name for a advertising tech company. More data for them presumably means more profit. Yes. Where the fuck are they storing all this shit? How big are the servers? Jesus.
Dude, have you seen the server room?
No.
Walls upon walls of like 20 terabyte hard drives.
God damn.
It's ridiculous. Like every time one gets full, it has hot swappable bays that you pull one out and put one in. It's really not like when you get to a company that's your focus. Like you get deals, you get like all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And, like sometimes even companies will send them to you. Like, yeah, keep buying our shit, please. Please keep buying our shit. So it's all stored, but oh man, it's like Jesus. The difference between commercial and like consumer storage is like you might think, oh yeah, 20 terabytes, that's a lot. And then you walk into a commercial storage room of just like some small company, and you're like, oh,
it's one server.
Yeah, we passed 20 terabytes 10 years ago. We're now like in petabytes at this point. Petabytes.
Petabytes.
Petabyte.
That's an unfortunate. Is it? Well, is it? That's an unfortunate name for, like PETA.
Yeah, petabytes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Not petabytes.
My mind's still stuck on James Gunn. I'm kidding.
Yeah. And it goes back to square one. The AP learned of the issue from Kay Shankari, a graduate researcher at UC Berkeley, who studies the commuting patterns of volunteers in order to help urban planners. She noticed that her Android phone prompted her to rate a shopping trip to Kohl's, even though she had turned location history off. And that I get those too at the bottom of my notifications. It's like, you were here. We need human help in rating this place. And I'm like, no. Go away, please. This is not what I want. So how did Google Maps know where I was, she asked in a blog post. The AP wasn't able to recreate Shankar's experience exactly, but its attempts to do so revealed Google's tracking. The findings disturbed her. I am not opposed to background location tracking in principle. It just really bothers me that it is not explicitly stated. Google offers a more accurate description of how location history actually works in a place that you'd only see if you turn it off. A pop-up that appears when you pause location history on your Google account webpage. There, the company notes that some location data may be saved as part of your activity on other Google services like Search and Maps. So you can't find this out on your phone. You have to go elsewhere. Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
Google offers additional information in a pop-up that appears if you reactivate the Web and App Activity setting, an uncommon action for many users since the setting is on by default. The pop-up states that when active, the setting saves the things you do on Google sites, apps, and services and associated information like location. I'm gonna fucking turn this thing off right now. Jesus.
Fuck you, man.
If I can find it. Sounds like it's like nested in some drop-down menu that's impossible to find. Oh, man. Warnings when you're about to turn location history off via Android and iPhone device settings are more difficult to interpret. Gee. It's almost like they don't want you to turn this off.
No, please. Please don't.
No, please, McDonald's.
Please don't turn this.
That McDonald's down the street from you needs your business.
No, please, please, the McDonald's down the street from you is paying us a lot of money. Please go there. Please rate. Please subscribe.
Pay us in burgers. Yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. Thanks. Okay, bye Google. Where was it? Da-da-da-da-da. On Android, the
Peace,
pop-up
peace.
explains that the places you go with your devices will stop being added to your location history map. On the iPhone, it simply reads, none of your Google apps will be able to store location data in location history. I like the iPhone's explanation better. It's more explicit. The iPhone text is technically true.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
If potentially misleading. With with location history off, Google Maps and other apps store your whereabouts in a section of your account called My Activity, not location history. Is that specific to the iPhone? Kind of
Maybe.
looks like it. Since 2014, Google has let advertisers track the effectiveness of online ads at driving foot traffic, a feature that Google has said relies on user location histories. The company is pushing further into such location-aware tracking to drive ad revenue, which rose 20% last year to $95.4 billion. Fuck.
Shit.
At a Google Marketing Live Summit in July, Google executives unveiled a new tool called Local Campaigns that dynamically uses ads to boost in-person store visits. Yeah. It says it can... Well, that... kind of... I don't know. For someone like me, that doesn't sound like it'd work because I go to the same places for the same things.
Right,
like
but
if-
it's like trying to push you to do something. To be honest,
Something
it
new.
feels like this article is just repeating itself over and over and over again. And we've gotten the point. It's Google's trying to get as much ad revenue as possible can out of you.
Yeah.
So watch out.
I
They're
can look at
tracking
the-
data.
I can
Big
look at the rest
Brother
of
is
this.
watching.
Yeah.
Um,
How many fingers, Winston? How many apps? 4 or 5? Yeah, I can look at the rest of this and be like, yeah, they're making money off of this. You can turn it off, but you can't really unless you do a specific thing. And the fact that turning this off requires two buttons to push is disingenuous. Yeah, I think we can all agree with that. And it is something people should know. Blah 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 blah. You can never hide, says Google CEO. Something like that.
Right behind you. What was it? What's that song from the 50s?
Everyone
behind you,
should know
baby.
that. Everyone should know that Google is constantly teleporting behind you, whispering into your ear, "Nothing personnel, kid."
It's this song.
Song.
This is good.
I don't know what song this is. Oh, right behind you, baby. I could play the song, but that might get us another.
And play
Copyright
like
claim.
the intro for the joke.
So, here, let's.
But yeah, no, it's that's funny. I'm taking this a little bit way
Headed
too unseriously because, again, it probably doesn't affect me as much. I could care less.
Yeah.
But
Oh, there we go.
are you actually playing the?
Run like a rabbit, fly like a bee. No matter what you do, you'll never get away from me because I'm right behind you, baby. I'm right behind you, baby. Well, I'm right behind you, baby, and you'll never get away from me.
Okay, I can see that the whole thing just like someone being followed around by a giant Google symbol while that's playing. It's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you looking up?
Where are you going on your day to day?
I see you've searched for steaks. There's a really nice Gap outlet just down the street.
Outback is still open.
Outback still exists, you know.
Um,
It's like, what is it?
that's
You don't,
really
you don't
really
see
the
Red
corporate
Lobster
thing.
anymore, do you? You see
Not really
ads
anymore,
for them.
but it's yeah, but they're good though. Maybe
I've never been, so
but
I couldn't tell you.
really, Buck, you're coming down here and we're going to Red Lobster.
There's a lot of places up here that I get ads for, but the nearest location is like 2 hours away. It's like I'm not driving all the way up past Bellingham to go to a Sonic. I'm
Oh
sorry.
well, okay, all right. You shouldn't drive anywhere to go to a Sonic. Let's be honest. Like, even if you live right next to a Sonic, it's just so bland, so bad. So they opened a Sonic right next to us. Like they hadn't had one like ever, and we went there to like the third opening day,
Mm-hmm.
and fucking, we're all waiting in line. One of the executive like guys from the corporation that is Sonic, not the locally owned, because that's how most franchises work.
Mm-hmm. One of the suits.
He's going around. Yeah, he's talking to all the people as they're waiting and shit. And, fucking, the guy rolls up. He's like, "What's your favorite burger?" And we're like, "We like, bacon cheeseburger." He's like, "Well, our double bacon cheeseburger is the best burger you will ever have." And me and my little brother, who he was talking to, we go to different burger places to find out, like, find the best burger. We've been to shit places, especially around Washington.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, that's a bold claim. We'll have to try it. We got it, and we're like, nope, not even close.
Oh man, have you ever had In-N-Out? I know everyone.
I have.
I
have. Go ahead.
I know that everyone in California swears by In-N-Out. Like they make the best burgers ever. The one
Five Guys is
time,
better.
the one time I went, the fries were unsalted
Oh shit.
and the burger was crunchy, not like burned,
What?
but like the outside of it was hard. And I'm like, what
Okay, I haven't
the fuck
had-
is this?
I haven't had that bad of an experience with it, but at the same time, it's basically California's dicks. That's basically what it is.
I know what you mean, but just it's California's dicks. And clip that out.
Yes, it's California's dicks. It tastes about the same.
Yeah.
They have the same menu basically. They're neither of them are bad. They're both actually really good, but just not like what I would consider amazing burgers. But yeah, so we went on that article for a little bit. Why don't we little bit on this next one? Not because this next one's probably a lot shorter.
Yeah.
This is Bethesda pursues Sony with a non-negotiable cross-platform demand. This article is actually 100% based on in reason why I was like, hey, why don't we do this? Because of just the amount of shit talking that has been between Sony and Bethesda ever since like the end of 2015, when Sony just kept rejecting the ability to add mods to Fallout 4 and then Skyrim Remastered.
Yeah.
Like, they were so against it, and with all of the extra shit that's come up with it, with Sony, how they dealt with Fortnite, things, how they're completely against cross-platform in a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
It's just like,
that's been a thing since like what is it? What's it called? It's the DC Universe.
DCU,
MMO.
yeah, DCU.
'Cause I know that was a big
online. You see, Yeah, no, that was also another big issue, especially since I don't know, like you hear a lot of the gaming YouTubers, they talk about it and they're like, oh, it's because Sony's on top, so they don't want to do anything to help out the other platforms. They want everyone to come to their platform instead of
They
sharing, I guess.
they want to be the double secret console.
Yes. All right, go ahead and read this.
Okay. Bethesda pressures Sony with non-negotiable cross-platform demand. Didn't? Yeah, I think Bethesda was in the news earlier for threatening a customer with a lawsuit for selling a used copy of Evil Within, or it was a sealed copy, wasn't it?
I heard about that.
I'm
That's
like, wow.
like, wow. Come on, guys. You have had enough issues with the whole Fallout 4 debacle and all these Skyrim remakes. Can you not?
First,
Like, please?
first you try to copyright the word scrolls, and now this.
Oh shit! Yeah, that was. How many years ago was that now?
Oh man, I think I was still at fucking Digipen when that was going down.
Yeah. Shit.
Although
Bethesda, please. I love your games. Stop.
Now the cross-platform thing sounds like a good thing, in my opinion.
Right? Why
compared to
wouldn't it
everything
be
else.
a good thing? Why this? All right.
So let's kick this off. Across multiple years and multiple franchises, Sony has uniformly prevented PS4 games from playing nicely online with versions of the same game on other consoles. Now Bethesda is warning that such cross-platform support is non-negotiable for the coming console versions of the Elder Scrolls Legends collectible card game, potentially barring the title from Sony's system. Their loss. In an interview,
I'm gonna be honest. If other publishers, developers did the same thing, we might see a little bit of a change in tone
yeah,
in the way that Sony interacts with it. Because like the thing that I've noticed in a lot of ways with like Microsoft and Sony is they seem to think that they are the top dogs. They are the most important thing in the industry, and they're not. They
Yeah.
really aren't. The two most important things is the game developers and the consumers. The consoles are just a thing you use to play other things. And
it's a fucking PC with a different box.
yeah. And you get a lot more customers or like developers and publishers just being like, no, fuck you guys. We want this to happen. We want our we want our customers to be able to work together and play together and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And
let's see. In an interview with Game Informer, Bethesda VP Pete Hines says that any and all versions of the Elder Scrolls Legends need to allow for full unrestricted cross-platform play and cross-platform progress. The applies to the current versions, which already work seamlessly across iOS, Android, and PC platforms, as well as previously announced console versions planned for later this year. I think it should be this applies. That's something's not right with that sentence. It is our intent. Fucking grammar Nazi. It is our intention, in order for the game to come out, it has to have full cross-platform support on any system, Hines said. We cannot have a game that works one way across everywhere else except for on this one thing. Which makes sense. Like, if the game is structured with cross-platform as like a fundamental part of the networking and not an add-on like what Microsoft had to do to get rid of the always online or the 24-hour check-in bullshit with the Xbox, which was the Xbox One. Then yeah, I can see how that can cause problems. So those terms are essentially non-negotiable, Hines continued later in the interview. We can't be talking about one version of Legends where you take your progress with you and another version where you stay within that ecosystem or it's walled off from everything else. That is counter to what the game has been about. Sounds good to me. While Hines didn't name Sony specifically, this cross-platform position would seem to be an obvious sticking point for the previously announced PS4 version of the game. Sony's the only company that is against cross-platform. Like, it's obvious who you're talking about here. Even if you're kind of legally covering your ass by not dropping any specific consoles.
Even just that, like I said, they've had problems with them in the past. Like there has been times where like Bethesda has openly shat on Sony and just being like, "Why the fuck are you guys working with us on the mod thing? Like, what is this?" And then when people complain on Twitter, you had people being like, you had like the HR guys from Bethesda being, "We're sorry, Sony doesn't want to work with us at all."
That's out of their hands at that point. So, Hines told Game Informer that Bethesda continues to talk to all our platform partners about this issue, but Sony has seemed particularly unmovable on the subject thus far. Still, this kind of non-negotiable promise or threat from a major publisher is just the kind of thing that could potentially get Sony to make some movement. I mean, if the developers are going to put their foot down and say, give us cross-platform or you're not getting the game, a game that people want to... I mean, I'm not going to get it's a fucking card game. I'm probably not going to get it. But if there's enough of a demand on the other systems for Sony to be like, look how much money we're missing out on, then that'll be a step in the right direction. Let's see. For all the complaining from players, developers, and publishers, you could argue that Sony hasn't felt much direct pain as a result of its anti-cross console policy so far. Major multiplayer games including Minecraft, Fortnite, and Rocket League continued to be made and sold to the PS4's 82 million plus potential players. Not everyone's going to buy the Elder Scrolls Legends, and Sony continues to rake in its licensing fees from those sales. I get it. I mean, it's a company's well within its rights to be like, yeah, we can take that much of a financial hit if it means having the functionality we want. Plus, the article mentions, PlayStation's got the highest consumer base, but is it higher than PC, Xbox, iOS, and Android combined? I don't think it is. I think that these companies can easily, like Bethesda can just be like, okay, no, we don't need you, and not suffer that much of a loss. So, as we've discussed previously on ours, Sony's walled garden approach arguably makes some sense as a way to exploit the competitive advantage of its larger console player base. Locking out other console networks potentially discourages individual locked-in players from moving to competing consoles where they'd be cut off from their friends. Boy, word it like that, it sounds kind of diabolical. The easiest way for that competitive calculus to change is for that's some interesting alliteration. To change is for publishers to start refusing to release their cross-platform online games on the PS4, as Bethesda is doing here. At that point, Sony has to start balancing the potential competitive advantage of player lock-in against the lost licensing fees from the game or games that are skipping the PS4. While one Sony executive recently said he was confident a cross-platform solution was coming in the future, this is the kind of thing that could make it come that much faster. Before you start casting Bethesda as a bold, uncompromising hero in this cross-platform drama, though, it's important to remember that the company has no such non-negotiable position for its other major online console release of the year, Fallout 76. On the contrary, for that game, Bethesda's Todd Howard was quite explicit in telling German site GameStar that the company would love to have cross-platform support, but simply dropped it because Sony is not as helpful as everyone would like. Fallout 76 is, Fallout 76 is still planned for a PS4 release alongside other platforms this November. Potentially losing a spin-off Elder Scrolls card game is one thing, but if Bethesda forced Sony to choose between blocking cross-console play and getting the next major Fallout game on its platform, that could definitely get the executives talking. I'm kind of hoping it does. Because, I don't know. I'd like to be able to play something on PC with my friends who have an Xbox. I think that'd be
Right.
cool. I mean, I know that there's some issues with hardware when it comes to cross-platform play. Like, I don't know if you remember the Shadowrun shooter on the Xbox 360 that had cross-platform play through Xbox Live between PC players and 360 players. And the 360 players would just get fucking wrecked the entire time because a controller is not as precise or fast as a mouse and keyboard. So, but still, like, if it's co-op, who cares? Oh. Well, Bethesda, I guess you're doing your one good thing for the year in trying to actually push something that people want rather than something that makes you look like a complete and total ass. Ooh. Let's see here. Anything else you want to add before we move on to the last article of the evening?
Not really. I mean, like, I hope that what ends up happening is Sony gets a nice kick in the pants. And so you end up with a solid like change in the way that they're handling things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really about it on my end.
I'm going to take the Al Sharpton approach to this and be like, God almighty, why can't we have cross-platform? It's
Why is it
time.
so
The people need a cross-platform. God almighty. And last but not least, a headline that makes you go, why is this a concern?
or just for me, it just makes me laugh
Yeah.
a lot.
So, courtesy of CNN, Trump has no black senior White House staff. Oh, man. Why? Why is this a problem? Fucking what is this, university?
Because it's CNN.
Yeah, fucking CNN. Oh. Fuck, just the first two lines, I'm already cringing. Oh my god. Jeremy Diamond, kill yourself. Just learn how to pick better topics. Jesus Christ. Shall I read this one too? That's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you know me. I'm not gonna be able to read this.
you got issues, yeah. So none of President Donald Trump's senior White House staff officials are black. Only a handful of his senior staff are of Latino, Asian, or Arab descent, according to a CNN review of 48 senior White House officials. Did Jim Acosta put you up to this? I think he did. I don't know who else would. Instead, the president is being advised by a senior White House staff that is overwhelmingly white. Jeremy, do you like to dress up in ski masks and hit people with bike locks on the weekend? I'm just asking. The lack of diversity in Trump's West Wing comes back into focus as Trump's longtime advisor, Omarosa Manigault Nguyen, or is it Manigault? What is it with lefties and their triple names. You got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and now this. Can we just have names that are easy to pronounce? Trump's longtime advisor, Omarosa. I'm just going to call her Omarosa because everyone else is. The only African-American to serve in a senior role in Trump's White House, reemerged into the public arena to promote her new book. No one cares. In the 8 months since Manigault Newman was fired... Okay, is that 2 names or 1? Hyphenate that shit. Trump has yet to appoint a single African-American to a senior White House role as either an assistant or a deputy assistant to the president. Why does this matter? She was fired. Obviously, she wasn't qualified for the job. Jesus Christ. Manigault Newman was the director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison, and an assistant to the president for nearly a year until her firing last December. And she's only coming up in the news now. At the time, she was the only African American in a senior White House role and earning the top White House staff salary of nearly $180,000. Okay. I was the only African American at the table. If I left, which I did, when I left, you were fired. There has been no new appointment of an African American assistant to the president, which means that people are making decisions about us without us. Us being the American people or us being black people? Really? It's like, what? Oh my God. The pandering is so, it's practically transparent. Holy shit.
Well, okay, so let's just read this again. I was the only African American at the table. If I left, which I did, when I left, there was no new appointment of an African American assistant on the president.
To the president.
On the president.
Which...
Yeah, to the president. No, I don't read. Which means that the people
are making
about
decisions
us. What?
About us with it. Jesus Christ. Good Lord. Good Lord. It's all a conspiracy. Manigault Newman said Sunday in an interview on NBC's Meet the Press, which I don't think anyone watches. White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, that's an interesting name, said in a statement to CNN on Monday that Trump's staff is focused on getting results for all Americans. Good answer. That's a good answer, actually. The president hires people to execute his policies, and his staff is diverse in race, gender, religion, and background. Omarosa here would disagree, but I think I'm disagreeing with Omarosa. This administration is focused on getting results for all Americans, and that's what it's done, Gidley said. So, hold on, I gotta look at something here. So, the problem is that there are no black senior White House staff, but there's still Latino, Asians, and Arabs. Okay, no racism. If there were no Latinos, Asians, or Arabs, okay, I could kind of see I could kind of see the implication there, but specifying that there's just one specific ethnic minority missing, argumentatively, you're shooting yourself in the foot there, Jeremy. What the fuck, man? Trump, in fact, often brags about the decline in African-American unemployment during his administration. The African-American unemployment rate hit a post-Great Recession peak of 16.8% in March 2010. Since then, unemployment has dropped steadily for all Americans. He's doing what he said. Jesus Christ. And this is a bad thing. How? Oh my God. Look, he's giving black people jobs. Someone stop him. That's going to get flipped and used out of context.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. Everything you say, Buck, is going to be clipped, used out of context.
Yeah. Or meme to hell. The White House declined on Monday to provide a list of White House officials who are black or members of other minority groups. Do they have to? Like, is that really necessary? You have to give us a list. Why? Does it fucking matter? Oh, the lack of the... It's not a lack of diversity! The lack of diversity also gained attention on Sunday when Kellyanne Conway, a top advisor to the president, could not name a single African American with an office in Trump's West Wing when pressed in an interview on Sunday.
This is Kellyanne Conway.
Is it?
Like, this is Kellyanne Conway. Are you really going to use her as a reference for anything?
Well, is it her job to know the White House staff? I don't think it is.
I'm gonna be honest. Kellyanne Conway doesn't know anything at all, and she,
Jesus
like,
Christ.
Like, it seems like now they're just using her to be able to, like, justify a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah, ever since the whole alternative facts thing, which was a stupid thing to say. But
Well, it wasn't just that. Have you heard all of her interviews? My God,
no, I need to start catching up on these.
She's I have a great video for them. But she's just like, she does Trump no favors at all. Like, at all. You sit there and you listen to her and you're like, why would you ever be on his staff? How could you possibly stay on this person's staff? There's the video.
Jesus Christ, the rest of this article. Oh my God. Conway could only name Jerron Smith, a policy advisor and special assistant to the president, a notch below the title of deputy assistant to the president, which sounds pretty nice, actually. Sounds pretty good status. Who works in the Eisenhower Executive Office building on the White House complex. Smith was the only black White House official at the table earlier this month when Trump met with a group of mostly black inner-city pastors at the White House. Again, trying to call Trump racist, and you're saying he's meeting with black inner-city pastors. That doesn't do your argument any goddamn favors. All right, should we call this video up of Conway?
If you want to watch the counter arguments videos, sure.
We can watch a little bit of it. Why the hell not?
Counter arguments, fantastic.
Okay, friggin' ads. All I'm getting is ads too. It's like, do you support the president? Yes, I do. I shouldn't have to take a fucking survey to show it. I'm gonna have to readjust the window when I go back to the article, but whatever. Here's hoping I don't get a copyright strike for this. We're not gonna watch the whole thing.
This is Kellyanne Conway. In 2016, she served as campaign manager for President Donald Trump. Following his victory, she was appointed counselor to the president on January 20th, 2017. So as you can imagine, Mrs. Conway has been asked many questions during this time. Unfortunately for the United States, she has not provided as many answers. Yes, in fact, Kellyanne Conway has a bit of a reputation of not answering questions at all. We'll start with a simple example. A very simple yes or no question regarding President Trump's wiretapping allegations.
Tap is not spelled with two P's.
Do you know whether Trump Tower was wiretapped?
All right, there's our question. Do you know whether Trump Tower was wiretapped? The answer is either yes or no. Of course, if the answer is yes, she would proceed to tell us what she knows, but Mrs. Conway is not going to answer the question.
What I can say is there are many ways to surveil each other now, unfortunately.
So how is this not an answer? Well, simply put, the question was specific, but her answer was general. And to add insult to injury, Mrs. Conway would later lie about the question that she didn't answer.
I was answering a question about surveillance techniques generally. It was about surveillance generally.
No, it
and
wasn't.
the fact that
He didn't ask
so
you
those
about
articles,
it generally, though. That's just true in the transcript. You may have answered it generally, but you were asked specifically.
Now that we have a general idea of how Kellyanne Conway conducts herself, let's
Cuomo
analyze
only does
a
his
greater
job
example. On January 22nd, Conway appeared on Meet the Press, where she was asked about the White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, and his apparent claim that the crowd size at Trump's inauguration was the largest in history. Now, whether or not Mr. Spicer misspoke or was misunderstood is beside the point. The point here is that Mrs. Conway is going to distract from the question.
Why did the president send out his press secretary for the very first time in front of that podium to utter a provable falsehood.
Chuck, I mean, if we're going to keep referring to our press secretary in those types of terms, I think that we're going to have to rethink our relationship here. I want to have a great open relationship with our press, but look what happened the day before, talking about falsehoods.
Oh, they both work.
We allowed the press to come into the Oval Office and witness President Trump signing executive orders. And of course, the Senate had just confirmed General Mattis and General Kelly to their 2 posts, and we allow the press in, and what happens almost immediately? A falsehood is told.
What you are watching right now is called a red herring.
Okay, yeah, this bit, I remember this bit. With the bus being removed. Yeah, that's funny. Alright, let's get back to the article. But yeah, really, she's not doing anything that I haven't seen other politicians or not even politicians, just like state people do. Or like, oh, I better... And I don't understand this. Like, I think in political science you are taught to never answer a question directly, and I don't understand why that is.
Really? I've never heard that. Walk through this.
I think it's like you should never answer in absolutes, but it's like, well, but if I'm asked a question, I'm gonna answer the damn question. All right.
But yeah, so like this article referring to her in any way, shape, or form is just like she's ridiculous. And like I like, you want to talk about merit-based like hiring and keeping on and stuff, she definitely destroys that. Like, she does no one any good. She's just like, she is salt for the mine.
Lady, you had one job. You had one
and
fucking
she can't do it.
All right. Okay. Oh, speaking of diversity hires, look, it's Don Lemon. Mr. President. Mr. President, it's been an honor to serve you in this administration, Smith said during the event. How are we on to this guy now? Thought we were on to... Oh, there we're going to get back to... We're going to get back to the lack of diversity bullshit. The things that you're doing under your leadership could drastically change situations and speak for people who can't speak for themselves. Each one of these leaders speak for forgotten people around this country who have dealt with pain regardless of who was president. And it's an opportunity for you to show your leadership to move things in a different direction. Okay.
Alright.
Why is this in here?
Feels like a different change of topic there.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're just trying to say that, hey, there's this one black guy who works for Trump and he's having a good time, I guess. This is completely different. We're not talking like, okay, if this article were about the meeting with the inner city pastors, this quote would make sense. It's fucking filler. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Jeez, and you fucking Don Lemon. A lack of diversity in the Trump administration extends beyond the West Wing and into Trump's cabinet, where Housing and Development Secretary Ben Carson is the only African American. When you're back to... Oh. Why is this a problem? Why is this news? Fuck it. Just fuck off, CNN. The overwhelmingly white male makeup of Trump's cabinet stands in stark contrast to efforts over recent administrations to make the president's cabinet more representative of the U.S. population.
That's all I can say to that. Just...
Well, if it's fucking representative of the U.S. population, are we talking proportionally? Then there really needs to be one black guy. Really? What is it? Isn't it African-American population is 13% of the overall U.S. population? Something like that? So, if you have 10 cabinet members, going by these statistics, you only need one You only need Ben Carson, and then you're good. Like, what the fuck? Oh man. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. It's on the fucking anniversary of Unite the Right too. Trump, meanwhile, has stoked racial tensions in the U.S. during his time in office. The president has blamed both sides after violence sparked last year by a neo-Nazi rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, privately referred to Haiti and some African nations as shithole countries, and lambasted the protests led overwhelmingly. I'm having a hard time with that word today.
And you're not even drunk.
No, I'm
what
not.
Is, fuck?
Led overwhelmingly, Jesus Christ, by black NFL players. The NFL is overwhelmingly black.
Is it? That's racist.
Do I have to start pulling up team photos? You can't tell me I'm wrong. Hillary Shelton, the director of the NAACP's Washington Bureau and senior vice president for advocacy and policy, called the lack of diversity among Trump's top advisors deeply disturbing. Why? And said it fuels Trump's insensitivity on racial issues and hurts the policy process overall. How? I want more specifics, please, and thank you very much. It really is outrageous that such an important inner circle is not reflective of the great diversity of the people of the United States of America, Shelton said. If you don't have those that are familiar with the diversity of communities that really make up this great United States of America, then you can make decisions that are extremely problematic. You don't have to be of a specific skin color to understand a specific community. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, just... This hurts to read. Shelton noted that the lack of diversity in the Trump administration marks a backslide from previous administrations, Republican and Democrat, that have worked to boost staff diversity. Can I have an example, please? Like, I'm sure I can just look it up, but honestly, if like they'd said, oh, Reagan had X number of black people on his cabinet, or something like that, or Carter had this many minority hires, it's like, that's all I need. So I can at least have something to compare it to. But if you say, oh, there's only one black guy in the cabinet and that's a bad thing, it's like, compared to what? Compared to what? What standard here? The people of color who served in top positions in those administrations also had roles that went beyond Manigault Newman's role. Is it Manigault? Fuck. I'm just going to keep pronouncing this inconsistently because I don't care enough. Manigault Newman's role, handling outreach to the African American community. Several of President Barack Obama's top advisors were black, including senior advisor Valerie Jarrett and his UN ambassador and later National Security Advisor Susan Rice. Before Obama, President George W. Bush's two secretaries of state were black, and one of them, Condoleezza Rice, also served as his National Security Advisor. Okay. We have something to compare things to, compare metrics, but you see, Condoleezza Rice actually got shit done. I don't know what Omarosa Manigault Newman has done. I don't. Aside from this outreach thing that they're mentioning, but it's like, can I specifics, please. I'm going to keep harping on this because I hate CNN. There's no such thing as an issue that has no impact on every community that makes up our country, Shelton said. We have to make sure there's a sensitivity to that diversity as we're crafting solutions. This sounds like this fucking sounds like university. It really does. Like, you have to be sensitive to diversity. You have to be aware that this guy who happens to be black may not have grown up the same way you did. Yeah, neither does the white chick at the other end of the room. She probably has a different life from me, too. God damn it, I hate that argument. Oh, fuck, there's another mention of the kid being robbed at gunpoint. Off on the sidebar. Oh, I think I've given more than my 2 cents on this. Anything you want to add? Did I lose you? Hello?
No, you
Okay.
didn't lose me. I'm just like
You're just sitting there smirking and laughing like a madman. Because Jesus
it's
Christ.
ridiculous.
This is the headline of CNN Politics. This. Not some like major decision or some breakthrough in policy. It's Trump doesn't hire enough minorities. Christ on a fucking bike. Fucking focusing on the wrong things here, people. Alright, what time is it? Oh, hey, it's almost 9.
Yeah, I
Sweet. I think that about covers it for tonight. I didn't even get to bring up the weather.
It's actually been kind of nice here.
Oh, it is hazy as hell up here from all the fucking forest fires. I think there's some controlled burning going on up to the north, but like normally if I look out my window, I can look to the northeast and I can see Mount Baker. That's just gone. I just see the slough kind of down below my house, so it's like last year when it was this foggy. It hasn't gotten as bad as Eugene. I'm not having to do a podcast while wearing a fucking gas mask, but yeah. So anyway, I think that's a good spot to call it for tonight. So yeah, this has been Locked and Loaded number 18. We're gonna try and do these weekly just for the sake of more content. So
more content.
More content. More. Gotta keep up with that algorithm somehow.
Probably less of me being drunk. I might have like checked out a little bit at the end. And just like stood there in awe of just like the stupidity.
Well, at least the guy in charge of the stream hasn't fallen asleep, so. So, all right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week for more stupidity in the news. Shit, god damn it. Fuck. Fuck, here we go.
That's just how it ends. Shit, god damn it. Fuck.
I found the button.